Part 12. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 111. Chapter 111 I did na Euro trademark T stay up late. Can staying up all night be called staying up late? Would you mind asking me to come in and sit down? Looking at the smiling Zhao Wangqing at the door, Zhou Ziyan took a deep breath and felt indescribably moved. Zhao Wangqing took the initiative to come to her, which meant that she remembered the relationship between best friends, which made many viewers she has lost sight of the warmth of human relationships, and has seen too many insults, abandoning her wife and children, and her eyes are a little wet. Come in. Hurrying up and walking to the door, Zhou Ziyan wanted to pull Zhao Wangqing in, but when she thought of her and Zhao Wangqing's current identities, she looked a little gloomy for a moment, and bent down to kneel down. This was the rule taught to her by the maids before. Before making a choice, everyone is a maid, and it is natural for them to kneel down when they see their master. Raising her hand to hold Zhou Ziyan, Zhao Wangqing said helplessly, I came to you, and I didn't come to show off. What do you think? Am I that kind of person? This is the rule. How did Zhou Ziyan ever want to kneel down and salute? In the most difficult time before the end of the world, she had never knelt down for others, but now it is the end of the world, and people have to bow their heads under the eaves. Zhao Wangqing lazily ignored Zhou Ziyan, and pulled her. He walked to the bedside and sat down with his arms. His eyes swept over Jasmine. Zhao Wangqing could feel a slight crisis. Her current strength was extraordinary. It could make her feel a slight crisis. This was enough to prove that Jasmine's strength. Are you Jasmine? Jasmine was stunned for a moment, her eyes a little confused. Why did this good guy mention her? She didn't remember seeing the woman in front of her. Yes, to the mistress, I am Jasmine. After reacting, Jasmine gritted her teeth, lowered her head and was about to kneel down. She is not stupid, and she has to get used to some things. Raising her hand to support Jasmine, Zhao Wangqing glanced at the door, waved her hand, and blue lightning flashed. After that, the door was closed. Seeing Zhao Wangqing's sudden move, Zhou Ziyan and Jasmine were stunned. What did they see? Was Zhao Wangqing's hand discharged just now? Seeing the stunned expressions of the two women, Zhao Wangqing did not cover it up. Raise your palms, the light of thunder and lightning dances in your palms, and the sound of cracking echoes in the room. You. Zhou Ziyan worked hard and quickly realized that Zhao Wangqing's identity was the mistress. She had heard the maids say before that the mistresses all had divine powers, and Zhao Wangqing's divine power was thunder and lightning. This is the divine power given to me by the Lord, which allows me to control the power of thunder and lightning. With a calm expression, as if she was saying something ordinary, Zhao Wangqing put away the lightning in her palm, took Zhou Ziyan's hand and said, I wanted to ask you for help back then, but now I am no longer the same person as before. A woman who has no power to restrain a chicken but will be afraid of screaming women when they see zombies. Hearing this, Zhou Ziyan felt bitter in her heart. Wangqing, I'm sorry that I couldn't save you when you needed me. Raising her hand to stop Zhou Ziyan's words, Zhao Wangqing didn't take it to heart and said with a smile, thank you for not coming to save me, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to meet my master. Don't you blame me. Looking at Zhou Ziyan strangely, seeing her depressed expression, Zhao Wangqing suddenly had an idea in her mind. Do you think that I am unwilling and forced to commit myself to the Lord? Or is it my fault that you didn't come to save me? Said, Zhao Wangqing took out her mobile phone and opened the dialogue box with Zhou Ziyan. Most of them were talking to Zhou Ziyan. The latest one was 2 days ago. See it? You have not given up on me, but I was already desperate and gave up communicating with the outside world. Later, when I met the Lord, I had no time to read messages. In fact, I only officially became the Lord a Euro trademark S woman yesterday. Before that, I didn't a Euro trademark T dare to ask to save you because I wasn't a Euro trademark T qualified. But fortunately, you are still safe and I am very happy. This is enough. The smile on Zhao Wangqing's face and the happy expression between her eyebrows did not seem to be fake. Zhou Ziyan was silent. After a while, she slowly said, "Thank you, Wangqing." Patting Zhou Ziyan's jade hand, Zhao Wangqing said seriously, "Ziyan, look at me, I have something very important to ask you. This is also one of the purposes of my coming here." "What? Do you want to be a woman of the Lord?" Zhao Wangqing raised her hand to stop Zhou Ziyan, who wanted to speak, and continued, "Don't be in a hurry to answer me, and don't be in a hurry to refuse. I'm just asking about your intention this time. After all, you can't enter the core level just because you want to. Yes, there are many people who want to go in. You can consider it slowly. As a good sister, I prefer you to be with me. You will gradually discover how good the Lord is in the future. Another thing is that I know you are smart. You can think about the new monetary policy and reward system. This can also be regarded as your qualifications for promotion. I have been worried about this matter recently." Zhao Wangqing turned her eyes and looked at Jasmine next to her. "And you?" "Ah. And I?" Jasmine's eyes widened and she waved her hands quickly. "No, no, 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 I'm not the material for this. Thinking about money and stuff gives me a headache. That's not what I'm talking to you about." Zhao Wangqing rolled her eyes and said speechlessly, "You are now the focus of our attention. Sister praises you so much. If you perform well, you will have a bright future. Of course, the premise is that you can get the approval of the Lord and become a harmonious person. I have the same identity." That's it, I thought." Jasmine scratched her head in embarrassment. She didn't look like a cold killer who could kill more than 30 thugs in the corridor. If it weren't for that faint sense of crisis, Zhao Wangqing would have doubted whether this was a fake. "I've said it all. I probably know the choice of your identity. Tomorrow I will take you two to clean up the zombies, so work hard." Zhao Wangqing reached out and hugged Zhou Ziyan, patted her back, and slowly stood up. "You guys have a good rest, it's time for me to go." Zhou Ziyan did not hold back, and she and Jasmine walked to the door. It was not until Zhao Wangqing's figure disappeared that Zhou Ziyan and Jasmine walked back to the room under the gaze of many women. Women all love gossip. After a while, the original Secret Fragrance, a group of women who came out of the bar, all ran to Zhou Ziyan, chattering and asking questions. The mess was like thousands of ducks quacking at the same time. Zhou Ziyan originally planned to think of something, but now her head is getting big. After finally sending away the group of women, Zhou Ziyan closed the door and sat back on the bed tiredly, not wanting to move at all. Jasmine swayed her white and tender pussy. After taking a bath, she was not wearing tight clothes and looked very relaxed. Looking at Zhou Ziyan, who looked like a salted fish, Jasmine asked curiously, "Sister Yan, what do you think? Do you really want to be a breath of fresh air?" Zhou Ziyan closed her beautiful eyes and hummed twice, and said, "Of course not. Wangqing's intention of coming here is obvious. The two of us should be noticed at the core level. In fact, we will not be able to escape sooner or later. You and I both know this in our hearts. The difference lies in who wants to take action when. But I estimate that this time will be very, very long. After all, that person is not in short supply of women. This is just the right time for us to show off. At least we can't a Euro trademark T be too cowardly to enter the core layer. We want to let that person know that we are really capable. Wangqing is proud and arrogant. A man she can recognize is definitely not bad. What else can I choose? The general meaning is that you can lick, but there is no need to go too far. Appropriately express your own value and show your beauty. That's about it." What Zhou Ziyan said made Jasmine stunned for a long time. She didn't react for a long time. It took a long time to hold back a sentence. "Is this the old woman?" Terrible. What a lot of scheming. After hearing this, Zhou Ziyan jumped up and her face turned green. What does it mean to be an old woman? Can she speak? What does it mean to be scheming? Is this called having a brain? Damn girl, I'm going to tear you apart right now. I am only 31 years old, so why am I already an old woman? A woman, a Euro trademark's most golden age. This is called maturity, you know nothing. What else is scheming? This is the wisdom of women. If I don't a Euro trademark teach you a lesson for 3 days, you will go to my house and see how I deal with you. If I don't beat you for 2 days, you won't know that your sister is also good at both civil and military skills. Zhou Ziyan, fuming with anger, pounced directly on Jasmine, and grabbing her was a severe beating from society. At the supermarket, Zhao Wanqing came back just in time for dinner. After dinner, Suzialuo rushed to Lin Fan and grabbed him, just ran. Suzialuo led her all the way back to the room. Before Lin Fan could realize what was going on, he saw her putting a bunch of design drawings in front of him. What is this? Su. Zialuo urged with an excited look on his face. Of course it's a design drawing. Come and see if it works. This is the proud work of my hard work. This is a bird's eye view, this is a floor plan, this is a cross-section of the main hall, and this is the city wall design you want, and this is the design style. Are you satisfied with it? Looking at the pile of drawings in front of him, Lin Fan's head felt heavy. However, looking at Suzialuo's 2 dark circles under his eyes and his slightly haggard face, Lin Fan reluctantly lowered his head and looked through them one by one. Even though Lin Fan didn't understand anything, he could see that this design was not simple. Just looking at the design drawings, you can feel the beauty coming over you. An excellent designer is also an excellent painter. And Suzialuo is undoubtedly the best among them. The design is a palace-style design, which combines Eastern and Western architectural styles. Just looking at the design drawings, a sense of grace and luxury will come to you. The city wall design is quite satisfactory, and there is almost no difference between the ancient city walls. In fact, the ancient city walls have reached their peak, and there are not many things that need to be changed. Putting down the drawing in his hand, he turned to look at the expectant little Lolita. Lin Fan raised his hand and looked at her. He rubbed her head, then picked her up and put her in his arms. The little Loli was not big, small, and as light as holding a ball of cotton. Thank you for your hard work. The design is very good. I thought it would take a long time, but I didn't expect you to finish it in just a few days. Lin Fan's compliment immediately made Suzialuo feel proud. She was a little shy at first because she was suddenly held in her arms, but now she didn't look shy at all. She raised her delicate little chin and hummed with her hands on her hips. That's who I am. I am Suzialuo, a famous architectural design master. After saying that, he couldn't help but yawned, and all his original aura was immediately gone. Looking at the tiredness in the little Loli's big eyes, Lin Fan shook his head and asked, "How long have you not slept? I remember telling you not to stay up late, right?" "Without, I didn't stay up late. I slept for 2 hours the day before yesterday." "Which day?" "The day before yesterday?" Lin Fan's face suddenly turned dark. "How many times have you slept in these days?" Seeing Lin Fan's unkind expression, Suzialuo panicked and couldn't be awesome anymore. "I didn't stay up late. Staying up late doesn't count as staying up late. I will punish your heresy today. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers." Author, Doomsday. Chapter 112. Unexpected result in Chapter 112. Lin Fan must have failed to deal with Suzialuo in the end of Fire of the Demonic Cat. After the excitement of the treasure presentation was over, the little Loli became tired and felt a little kowtow after eating. He looked like he was sleeping, and now he fell asleep directly in Lin Fan's arms. I don't know how much time passed, but the closed door opened, and Lin Yuya walked in gracefully, with an elegant and dignified posture, and an indescribable majesty. Looking at Suzuiluo, who was holding Lin Fan's collar with her little hands and sleeping like a child, Lin Yuya smiled slightly and walked lighter. Why did Luoluo go to bed so early? You haven't gone out for more than 2 hours. I thought I was going to stay here tonight. Lin Fan looked at the design drawings next to him and gestured, let's take a look. Our great designer worked hard. This girl usually doesn't care. The last time she slept was the day before yesterday, and she only slept for 2 hours. Now, I've had enough trouble and just fell asleep without caring about anything. What can I do? The little Lolita is not big, but her little hand holding the collar is quite strong. Lin Fan tried at first and failed to put Suzuiluo down, so he was too lazy to move. He picked up the design drawings next to him and looked through them one by one. The more she looked at Lin Yuya, the more surprised she looked on her face. Although she didn't Euro trademark know much about design, she had to say that Suzuiluo was definitely a master in terms of painting, and the effects of the paintings were absolutely unparalleled in terms of beauty. After looking through the design drawings one by one, Lin Yuya looked at the sleeping Suzuiluo again with a softer look. These dozen or so pictures did not look simple. One can imagine how much Suzuiluo has become in the past few days. Tired? He moved a chair and sat down next to him. Lin Yuya didn't say anything. He just stayed by his side quietly and looked at Suzuiluo, who was sleeping soundly. It was almost 10 o'clock in the evening. Lin Fan moved his arms. His big hand gently placed on Suzuiluo's little hand. I don't know if it was because he was fast asleep. This time he easily took off Suzuiluo's little hand that was holding onto his clothes. He was holding the ultra-small little one. Loli walked to the bed and put it down, covering her with the quilt gently. Lin Fan lowered his head and kissed her on her smooth forehead before getting up. Watching Lin Fan close the door, a cunning look flashed in Lin Yuya's eyes. Colorful, he joked, the Lord looked very much like my old father just now, and he really looked like that. Lin Fan was speechless. Does he look that old? But Suzuiluo's body shape really looks like a little Lolita who hasn't grown up. He is an old father. Can't think about it anymore. Staring at Lin Yuya fiercely, Lin Fan said with a dark face, you have nothing to say, right? I noticed that you are getting more and more naughty. Tell me honestly, have everything been arranged? Tell me one by one. If there is one thing that has not been arranged. Tonight, I will show you what the old father's anger is. She glanced at Lin Fan with a charming look, and with endless charm, Lin Yuya put away her thoughts of joking and said seriously, the dormitory, I've already gone over there, and the women I brought back this time were a bit unexpected. Maybe it's because of Zhou Ziyan. All the women coming out of the dark fragrance bar chose the female warrior side. As for the women who originally belonged to the Zhenlong Hotel, in terms of selection, the majority were female warriors. Overall, it was 2:8. Female warriors accounted for 80%, and the number was approximately 621. So much, Lin Fan looked surprised. This ratio is really too exaggerated. To be honest, when I first learned about it, I was surprised. It was beyond my expectation. Later I found out that the women in the dark fragrance bar had seen blood and killed zombies with their own hands. Lin Yuya couldn't express the emotion in her words. As a woman, she understands women better. The number of female warriors has expanded so fast, which really surprised Lin Fan, but in terms of points, more than 6,000 will be handed over soon. Tang Dao is worth 10 points. And after this consumption, I am afraid that I will not be able to earn back from these women in a short time. There are really not many zombies near the hospital. If I want to kill the zombies, I am afraid I have to go to Kaiba. It's kilometers away, and a lot of time is wasted running back and forth. However, these points still have to be spent. Many things cannot only be based on immediate benefits. We can't just pick sesame seeds and lose the watermelons. These more than 6,000 points must be spent. I know this. Is there anything else? He hugged Lin Yu and walked to the sofa to sit down. It was still early, so Lin Fan was not in a hurry to sleep. The rest is up to Yan Yan and the others. The mission you gave us before has been successfully completed because of the Lord. The zombies in the east and west directions have been completely cleaned up. The target is the 10 kilometers previously set, including all the zombies in the house. Cleaned up. In other words, as long as we clean up the zombies in the north and south directions tomorrow, we can ensure the safety within 10 kilometers. The next step will be up to the master. Lin Yu is not only the empress of the palace, but also the general manager of the hospital. She has to take care of almost everything. Fortunately, Lin Yu also has this ability and handles things in an orderly manner. Lin Fan would probably be bored to death. The zombies in the east and west have been cleaned up, Lin Fan murmured to himself, holding his chin and thinking for a while. He thought of the design drawing he would see. We really don't a Euro trademark T have time to build the most cumbersome inner city palace now, but if it is a city wall, it seems that it can be built in advance. Then women will not have to run several kilometers every day to kill zombies. The city wall can completely block the influx of zombies. When the corpses and messy vehicles on the streets are cleaned up, the streets can be used normally. By then, the female warriors will drive faster and travel more conveniently. Especially due to the outbreak of zombies, the population has dropped sharply. There are only more than 1,000 women on his side in a huge 10-kilometer area. There will be no traffic jams or blind lights at all. You can reach it directly with just one step of the accelerator without using any brakes. Beside the city wall. 10 kilometers away. If a normal person walks, it is indeed a bit far, but if you drive, especially if you don't a Euro trademark T need to brake to slow down, even an old car can finish the trip in about 20 minutes, right? Not to mention that you can go more than 100 miles with just one step of the accelerator, and you don't a Euro trademark T have to wait for the lights. It can be reached in 5 or 6 minutes, isn't a Euro trademark T it? If you think so, it costs more than 6,000 points. The female warriors kill zombies outside the city wall during the day, rest on the city wall at night, and change shifts the next day, so they can earn back quickly. ETA Euro trademark is not considered a long-term investment at all. The more I think about it, the more I feel that this is feasible. The only difficulty is building a city wall, but this is not too difficult. Ordinary man-made city walls are very difficult, but Lin Fan is different. Earth-type powers can completely build a city wall at will. The only difficulty is that a 10-kilometer long city wall consumes too much energy. Even if you step on the ground, the Earth energy recovery speed will be doubled, but the quality can be completely guaranteed. As the level of Earth attribute abilities increases, the solidity of Earth attribute abilities also increases. Lin Fan doesn't know how strong the defense of the Earth wall created by level 4 Earth element control is. He will have to try it tomorrow to find out. Of course, the level of L4 is definitely not enough. Tomorrow's task is a bit difficult. To build the city wall, we need to upgrade the level of the Earth attribute, at least to L6. In this way, we can probably get some guarantees in terms of defense and energy when building the city wall. Lin Fan had already planned in this regard. This is why he taught Li Psyche the Earth element ability. It was not just because she studied civil engineering. This can only be said to be a coincidence and the professional counterpart. If Zhao Yanyan studied civil engineering, the Earth element, if you have superpowers, you won't be Li Psyche. This thing also pays attention to prescribing the right medicine. Li Psyche knows this aspect very well, and will definitely be able to exert more power from the unearthed abilities. Speaking of which, there was Mu Yuking. I remember that her occupation before the end was a veterinarian. Thinking of Cat Lady, Lin Fan suddenly felt a jump in his heart and felt a little panicked. System, let me ask you something. If I redeem a cat type ability, I want a Euro trademark T become a cat man, right? When I think about myself wearing cat ears and a cat tail, Lin Fan's face turns a little green. This picture is a bit scary. Lin Fan thinks it's cute when a girl wears cat ears and a cat tail. If it were him, forget it. If this problem cannot be solved, eat a Euro trademark s okay not to redeem this cat type ability. Lord, this is controllable. As a user, if you don't want it to happen, this situation will not happen. You will only have cat type superpowers. Please rest assured. The clear and melodious sound of the system has never been so good. Lin Fan breathed a sigh of relief, but the question came, does the cat type have any special abilities? Turn into a cat-eared girl, increase your agility and then kill zombies. It doesn't seem to be very strong. Even if the only martial arts in the world are fast, no matter how fast you are, you can't withstand a large-scale ground-washing attack. This is a bit useless. You can't be a Catwoman killer, right? With his strength, does he need to assassinate anyone? Lord, please rest assured that 10,000 points are definitely worth the money. Different people will awaken different abilities when using cat powers. It varies from person to person. They may have wind powers, or they may have dark powers. Department of Superpowers. Lin Fan's eyes lit up and he asked in his mind, will there be time, space, and destiny abilities? My lord, cat-type powers are only worth 10,000 points, but eat a Euro trademark is not entirely impossible. There may be variants, but space and time powers, even in mythology, don't a Euro trademark T seem to be mastered by that cat. Having gained a general understanding of cat-type abilities through the system, Lin Fan felt relieved. Of course, he was still a little coveted in terms of abilities. System, exchange it for me for cat powers. Ding. After deducting 10,000 points, congratulations on getting the cat power, and now the fusion begins. The system prompt disappeared, and a strange warm current spread in the body. Under the adjustment of this warm current, Lin Fan could feel that the coordination and agility of the body had been improved, and at the same time, a scorching power spread in the body. Ding. You have successfully integrated cat powers and awakened additional powers, Demon Fire. Demon Fire? Lin Fan smacked his tongue, feeling a little regretful, but not too disappointed. Just think about space and time. System, probably personal properties panel. Character, Lin Fan. Strength, 158. Agility, 157. Intelligence, 170. Physique, 176. Points, 12,360. Ability, Magnetic Field Control LV7 A Euro Lightning Control LV7 A Euro Plant Control LV4 A Euro Earth Element Control LV4 A Euro One-Tailed Demon Cat. Experience, 3749/10W, 2237/10W, 389/500, 340/500, 0/10. Items owned, Throwing Knives *100. In terms of attributes, only the agility attribute has improved more, probably because the cat is more agile. It's high, but in terms of points, it's a bit unexpected. It was originally more than 18,000, but unexpectedly, 10,000 was deducted, leaving more than 12,000. It seems that Zhao Yanyan and the others killed a lot of zombies during the few hours he rested. But what does this one-tailed demon cat mean? What about the flower job? System, does this have 2 tails and 3 tails? 9-tailed demon cat? Does that mean there have to be 9 abilities? Lin Fan is interested. If this is the case, these 10,000 points will be worth it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 113. Chapter 113 The Real Cat Lady, Muyuking. As we all know, cats have 9 lives. The nine-tailed demon cat comes from myths and legends. Each nine-tails is different and naturally has different abilities. The Lord's luck is still very good. The system's accurate answer made Lin Fan's heart skip a beat. This surprise came too suddenly. Is it worth it to exchange 10,000 points for 9 abilities? It's so worth it. Even if there are no such powers as space and time in the end. But it is also very scary. How many zombies do you need to kill to upgrade to 9 tails? The promotion experience is the same. Now the lightning power and magnetic field power level 7 require 100,000 experience. When the 9-tailed demon cat's power is upgraded to the 9-tails realm, with high-level abilities such as space and time, Lin Fan can be sure that he has redeemed them long ago. As long as the 9-tailed demon cat's ability is advanced once, it is equivalent to saving at least 10,000 points. This is simply the most excellent financial management skills. System, you said there is a 9-tailed demon cat, will there be a 9-tailed demon fox? System. Lord, please don't daydream. Being too greedy is a bad thing. It depends on luck. Not every time you will be lucky enough to draw the best beast abilities, especially the mythical ones. The system's words were undoubtedly a reminder and a warning. Lin Fan thought about it for a moment. This 9-tailed demon cat was probably triggered by draining all his recent European energy at once. If he wanted the 9-tailed demon cat, he must at least save some European energy for a period of time. Is this what the system means? Lin Fan doesn't a Euro trademark T know if he misinterpreted it? Anyway, he doesn't a Euro trademark T want to be upset now. There is no need at all. After all, he will spend more than 6,000 points to buy Tang Dynasty tomorrow. The sword, when the time comes, wave your hand, good guy, the Tang sword is not enough. Let a Euro trademark S not talk about whether it will lose the status, but the force will definitely be lost. In order to maintain the image of being omnipotent, Lin Fan thought it would be better to calm down a little. People ought, be content and be content. The result of spending too much money on your head is often blue sky and white clouds, which is undesirable. Coming back from his meditation, Lin Fan found that Zhao Yanyan and the others had already sat on the edge of the sofa at some point. They surrounded him, and everyone was paying attention to him. As the person closest to Lin Fan, Lin Yuyu leaned in Lin Fan's arms. As soon as he made a move, Lin Yuyu felt it. My lord, have you finished your thoughts? He lowered his head and kissed Lin Yuyu on the forehead as a reward. Lin Fan knew that he was deep in thought just now. Lin Yuyu was obedient and did not disturb his thoughts. Lin Fan still liked Lin Yuyu's obedient character. As a man, wouldn't like the kind of woman who doesn't wink and likes to make trouble without reason. Lin Yuyu is very good like this. Even Zhao Wanqing and Zhao Yanyan have never bothered him. At this point, Lin Fan is still very comfortable. Well, after thinking about it for a while, I plan to make some big moves tomorrow. Yo-yo, there are some things that I need you to arrange tomorrow. Putting my arms around Lin Yuyu's slender waist, Lin Fan couldn't put it down because of the delicate feel of her skin. When they heard Lin Fan's big moves, the women's eyes looked very concerned, and Lin Yuyu also looked at Lin Fan with searching eyes. Scatter all the women out tomorrow and clean up the wreckage on the streets, especially the scrapped vehicles. All of them will be broken down into steel. I'm going to trouble you. If you can still drive the car, drive it to the hospital and save it for future use. Tomorrow Euro trademark S task is to keep the roads clear within a radius of 10 kilometers and leave some cars as transportation tools. Try to choose those SUVs, buses are better. In addition, select a group of women who can drive. They can be maids or female soldiers. In the future, as our power develops, there must be various jobs. It is impossible for everyone to be fruit farmers. The professions must be diversified to form a reasonable ecosystem. As for Wonking, your mission is to ensure that there is not a single zombie within a 10-kilometer radius. I will first erect a barbed wire fence to ensure that no zombies will come in again. The next step is up to you. In addition, the older batch, the female warriors, can leave 10 kilometers to go further to improve their strength, while the 10 kilometers are left to the new soldiers to practice. Lin Fan kept looking up. Lin Yuyu, Zhao Wonking, and others kept nodding, taking Lin Fan's explanation to heart. The women all knew in their hearts that this was indeed a big move, and Lin Fan was going to make drastic changes. And these things, whether it is road transportation or the ecosystem of various professions, are all necessary things for a power. Do you remember everything I said? Lin Fan looked around and said so much in one breath that his mouth was a little dry. Li Yun, who was waiting next to him, quickly handed over a glass of warm water. Lin Fan took it and drank it in one gulp, then handed the cup back. He gave it to Li Yun and nodded to her. Although it was just a nod, in Li Yun's view, it was undoubtedly a kind of recognition, which made her feel indescribably excited. After digesting Lin Fan's plan for tomorrow, Lin Yuyu and others nodded and responded. After talking about tomorrow's plans, Lin Fan looked at Mu Yuking, who was sitting opposite, raised his hand and waved to her, "Ching Ching, come here." Hearing Lin Fan's call, Mu Yuking felt happy and unspeakably uneasy. She probably already knew what was going to happen. Two good friends, Zhao Yanyan and Li Saiki, had already received the divine power given by Lin Fan. She was the only one who knew. It was impossible not to feel disappointed. She saw the abilities of the two good sisters, and she was extremely envious of them. Sometimes she would feel a little jealous, but she was quickly extinguished. She was not a sage, and Mu Yuking was definitely not one. No matter how well educated and gentle she was, she still had emotions and desires. Now Lin Fan's call made her heart beat unsatisfactorily. She snuggled next to Lin Fan. Mu Yuking raised her head and looked up at Lin Fan, with indescribable longing in her eyes. "It seems that you also know what is going to happen next. Will you complain if you are later than Yanyan and the others?" Pinching Mu Yuking's delicate chin, the touch was like mutton fat white jade. He shook his head in panic. "Don't say there is no, even if there is, Mu Yuking will know what to say now. How dare my subordinates complain? To be able to receive your reward, Ching Ching is only excited and grateful in her heart, and does not dare to complain at all. If it were not for the Lord, Ching Ching still doesn't a Euro trademark T know what would have happened. Men are all scum, and Lin Fan is the same. He naturally likes to listen to these soft words and flattery. Okay, I want a Euro trademark T tease you anymore. There will be a lot of things tomorrow, so I want a Euro trademark T make so much fuss. A Euro trademark LL give you the ability that you need to get familiar with tomorrow. Mu Yuking was excited. She rubbed Lin Fan's fingers and said gratefully, "Thank you, Lord, for the gift. I will definitely not slack off at all." Lin Fan doesn't know the clone technique and has so many superpowers. If he wants to reach the full level by himself, it's just a dream. Women's help is essential. System, teaches Demon Cat superpowers, target Mu Yuking. Ding. After deducting 1000 points, we now begin to separate the Demon Cat superpower subtypes. That's what's good about imparting superpowers. As long as Lin Fan has it, the person who imparts it must be the same as Lin Fan. The nine-tailed demon cat belongs to the mythical category and can be said to be the pinnacle of the cat category. Compared to Mu Yuking's own awakening, Lin Fan can say that he will never lose anything. If Mu Yuking is allowed to awaken on his own, there is a high chance that he will awaken a garbage ability, which will be a huge loss. The seeds poured into Mu Yuking's body along Lin Fan's palm. Yu and others had seen it many times before, so they were not too surprised by the scene in front of them, but what happened next made them all open their eyes wide. As the demon cat's power transformed Mu Yuking's body, two fluffy cat ears soon appeared on his head, and a naughty cat tail also appeared on the tail vertebrae. Lin Yu looked at it. Several people were stunned. Good guy. They have never seen such a transformation into a cat girl. Seeing the cat ears popping out of Mu Yuking's head and the cat tail swaying behind her, Lin Yu and the other girls looked at each other and couldn't help but want to touch them to see how they felt. However, considering that Mu Yuking was still in a strange state, the women held back. However, Zhao Yanyan, a good best friend, had some bad idea and waved to Yu Yiren, who was waiting next to her. As one of the three noble dogs, Yu Yiren bent down obediently and put her ear next to Zhao Yanyan. Listening to Zhao Yanyan's quiet cooing, her pink face turned slightly, nodded, turned around and walked downstairs, not knowing what she was going to do. After Yu Yiren left, Zhao Yanyan looked Mu Yuking up and down with her beautiful eyes, her eyes looking strange. The teaching of superpowers ended quickly. Lin Fan withdrew his hand and looked at Mu Yuking, who was kneeling in front of him, with a surprised expression on his face. I don't a Euro trademark T know if it a Euro trademark S the effect of the demon cat a Euro trademark S superpower, but Mu Yuking, who was originally intellectual and generous, has a lazy and demonic feeling. The most intuitive manifestation is that the corners of her eyes have become narrower, and they are more charming and charming. His face also changed slightly, revealing a lazy and noble aura. The whole face blended noble laziness and Yaireo enchantment, which unknowingly improved Mu Yuking's appearance a little bit. Especially the cute cat ears on the top of his head. Lin Fan didn't worry about anything. He raised his hand and touched it. It felt unusually good and a little warm. These were not decorations, but real cat ears. Touch them. As he listened, Lin Fan felt the little ears in his hand tremble a few times. He lowered his head and looked at Mu Yuking again. At this time, the long and narrow beautiful eyes had opened, and the eyes had turned into the vertical pupils unique to cats. They looked particularly good looking, and there were even more eyes on both sides of the face. A few faint cat whiskers are not real cat whiskers, but a few thin lines like tattoos. It looks more like a lazy and noble cat, especially with a little wildness. But now the wildness has disappeared, the long and narrow beautiful eyes are misty, and Xiao Zhan timidly said, "My lord, ears are a bit sensitive. For it. This." Lin Fan rubbed it for a while before letting go. This made Mu Yuking uncomfortable. She let out a low moan and lay directly on Lin Fangzi, exhaling in a small mouth. Seeing Mu Yuking like this, Lin Fan couldn't help but touch his nose, feeling a little excited for no reason. At this time, Zhao Yanyan hid her face and snickered. Now she felt more and more that the decision she just made was the right one. As for whether it would be heartbreaking to tease her best friend, I'm sorry, she has no conscience. Arena Euro trademark T good besties just here to trick you. Especially Mu Yuking now, she really wants to trick her. Not long after, Yu Yiren came up from downstairs with a bag. Zhao Yanyan quietly took it, took a look, and nodded with satisfaction. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 114. Chapter 114, Cat-eared maid, old double standard. Cat girl. She is truly a living cat lady. Zhao Wanqing looked at Mu Yuking carefully with a surprised look on her face, her eyes full of curiosity. Zhao Wanqing still knows about cat girls. Although she doesn't watch anime from the island country, she still knows a little about it. Girls are always interested in beautiful things. Lack of resistance. Out of curiosity, Zhao Wanqing looked at the swaying cat's tail behind Mu Yuking, and stroked it. Zhao Wanqing also liked cats. All women like furry things, and she did the same, especially when it came to licking. She has always been very enthusiastic about cat activities that are suitable for all ages. Zhao Wanqing had already started. Lin Yuyu thought about it, and touched it twice. The feeling was really good. Li Saiki didn't have time to control whether her best friend was being masturbated. How does the tail feel? She just wanted to try whether it was fun. Seeing Lin Yuyu and others enjoying the pleasure of petting the cat with their eyes half closed, Lin Fan had a question mark on his head. What? What do you guys mean? I haven't played with it yet. Understood, why did you start? Looking down at Muyuking, who was lying on the bed, Lin Fan was dumbfounded. Something is wrong with you. I was petting the cat and you told me that your ears were sensitive, and then you lay down, and others would be fine, right? Why do you still treat them differently? Is it because the ears and tail are different? Seeing that Lin Yuyu and the other three were having fun, Lin Fan subconsciously reached over and grabbed a handful of them. Well. Muyuking's sudden cry startled Lin Fan, and he quickly let go of his hands. Looking at the dizziness on Muyuking's face, he felt that his whole body was not feeling well. There really is a difference in treatment, right? It's okay for others to touch you, but if I touch you, it's like touching a switch. This is too real. Little did she know that Muyuking was extremely aggrieved now, and she didn't know what was going on. Anyway, as long as it was Lin Fan, his hands were as if they were electrified. On the contrary, Lin Yuyu and the others had no problem. Seeing the helpless expression on Lin Fan's face, she just wanted to cry. Next to the sofa, Li Yun and three others stood together, watching with envy in their eyes and hearts. They didn't know how long it would take them to touch the edge of the core layer. It was so difficult. It was late at night, and everyone else could pet the cat, but he couldn't. Lin Fan felt unhappy in his heart. What the hell is this? It was so hard to raise a cat lady, but she died after being petted twice. It was really hard to bear. Okay, it's getting late. It's time to rest. There will be a lot to do tomorrow. Getting up from the sofa, Lin Fan turned around and walked back to the room. Lin Yuyu and the other three also let go of Muyuking's cattail, looked at each other, and chased after him. Muyuking stopped talking and looked at Lin Fan's back was kneeling on the ground in distress, with an expression of indescribable annoyance. Zhao Yanyan waved her hands to Li Yun and the others, indicating that they could leave, and then walked to Muyuking's side with her hands behind her back. Ching ching, Arena Euro trademark TU happy. Muyuking raised his head and glanced at Zhao Yanyan, and nodded dully, feeling unspeakably frustrated. At home, Lin Fan is the king. If Lin Fan is unhappy, how can Muyuking be happy? Yanyan, what do you think I should do? Obviously, Mistress Yuyu and the others can touch my ears and tail and it will be fine, but the Lord is not. Zhao. Yanyan's beautiful eyes were charming, and she leaned into her ear and whispered softly, because the Lord is a man, I want to give you something good, do you want it? Does this have anything to do with the Lord being a man? Muyuking looked suspicious, but now she was attracted by the good things Zhao Yanyan said, and asked what good things. I'll show you something that can make the Lord happy. I'll go in first, so hurry up. Handing the bag on his back to Muyuking, Zhao Yanyan ran back to the room with a sweet smile, leaving Muyuking with question marks on his head. After opening the bag and taking a look, Muyuking was still a little confused. After taking out the clothes, he understood instantly. After hesitating for a while, when he heard the laughter coming from the other side of the room, Muyuking turned around and ran to the bathroom to change, and mustered up the courage to open the door of the master bedroom. Inside the room, he heard the sound of the door opening. Lin Fan turned around subconsciously, and his eyes suddenly froze. He had cat ears on his head, a pink complexion, and was wearing a black and white maid uniform. This maid uniform was a bit bolder than the one in the maid cafe. It could even be said that it's a fun thing in the boudoir. Anyway, Just looking at it will make your blood pressure soar. Then the person who suffered was Lee Saiki, a good best friend. As the instigator, Lin Fan didn't let it go. The light in the master bedroom was turned off in the middle of the night. Under the pitch-black night, demons danced wildly, and the roars of zombies were even more terrifying than those in horror movies. Occasionally, a few frightened and desperate roars could be heard. Survivors who didn't Euro trademark T know where they were accidentally found by zombies and ate them as midnight snacks. Inside, the sound of rumbling propellers was heard, and in the sky, an armed helicopter quickly passed through the sky. A large number of zombies on the ground chased the sound and ran on the streets. In the cabin, following the light of the searchlight and looking at the ground, Yefeng was worried about the large number of zombies along the way. It is almost certain that the army will enter the city, but with so many zombies in the Magic City, can it be quelled by just hundreds of thousands of troops? Major, the headquarters has sent over the coordinates of the target point. Do you want to take a look? After coming back to his senses and looking at the soldiers in front of him, Yefeng nodded. Give me the battle report. The soldier handed the combat report in his left hand to Yefeng. Yefeng took it and opened it and took a look. Bing Bing Fitness Club. Shen Bing Bing. Dewa Commercial Building. Keeping several important pieces of information in mind, Yefeng handed the combat report back to the soldiers and said, inform the driver, move forward at full speed, the target is Bing Bing Fitness Club. Yes. Major. With Yefeng's order, the speed of the armed helicopter increased, and the rumbling sound woke up countless sleeping survivors. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Shen Bingbing, who had been playing excitedly for half the night, had just fallen asleep for a while when he was awakened by the deafening roar. Shen Bingbing subconsciously covered his eyes at the dazzling light coming from the window. Several girls even screamed and got under the quilt. Shen Bingbing's voice was filled with panic. He didn't know yet. What happened? In the dazzling light, it seemed that several figures walked in quickly. Are you the boss of Bing Bing Club, Shen Bingbing? Blocking his eyes with his palms, Shen Bingbing looked at the tall figures in military uniforms in front of him, and instantly felt no sleepiness at all. Yes, I am. Are you here to rescue us? Yefeng looked at the handsome Shen Bingbing in front of him, nodded, clicked out the video on his phone, and put it in front of Shen Bingbing. Was this post made by you? You took the video too, right? A sudden thought occurred in Shen Bingbing's heart. He didn't expect that the army would come to him just for posting a post. He really just followed the network cable to deal with him. Couldn't this thing be posted? Right, Ida Euro trademark S just me, Kana Euro trademark T I post this? I don't know, can I delete it now? Shen Bingbing panicked. After hearing Shen Bingbing's personal confirmation, Yefeng put his phone away and gestured to the soldier next to him, asked the pilot to park the helicopter on the roof. It's not early today. Okay, now I a Euro trademark M staying here for the night, and we Euro trademark LL go to the hospital tomorrow. Yes, Major. Shen Bingbing's eyes were blank. What does this mean? Do you occupy the magpie's nest? The key is that he didn't dare to say anything. Looking back, seeing the panic on Shen Bingbing's face, Yefeng comforted him. Now, freedom of speech, you don't a Euro trademark T have to worry about us being detrimental to you, but for your personal safety, you have to go back to the military area with us for protection to prevent you from being persecuted by foreign forces. I hope you can cooperate. Yefeng's tone was very tough and he couldn't tolerate any rejection at all. Shen Bingbing complained in his heart that he didn't dare to refuse. He didn't want to try whether the gun in the other person's hand was real. But just protect, at least. He no longer has to be surrounded by zombies, he has no characteristics, and he doesn't have to worry about being dissected. Thinking about it this way, Shen Bingbing feels that it's not bad to seem to have no abilities, at least he doesn't have to worry about the mess. Neither does Yefeng. Knowing what Shen Bingbing was thinking in his mind, he felt relieved to see Shen Bingbing being so cooperative. I need to stay at your place tonight. I have some things to do tomorrow morning. Sorry to bother you. Shen Bingbing waved his hands hurriedly, not caring about his lack of clothes. Anyway, everyone was a man. He jumped to open the door, and then arranged for Yefeng and others to stay. After Yefeng and others went out, the woman popped her head out from under the quilt and chattered beside Shen Bingbing. Are we going to be rescued? Army, it must be safe over there, right? Finally, I don't a Euro trademark T have to be trapped in a room with corpses anymore. Damn it, I a Euro trademark am going to go crazy from being suffocated. Shen Bingbing glanced at the girls, covered his head and continued to sleep. After being trapped in the club for more than a month, he was almost going crazy from the suffocation. He could only eat and sleep all day long, and could not go out. His only entertainment was the activity is to play games, and then play 4-player landlords with 3 girls. After a long time, you will get tired of it, especially in this kind of bad environment where there is no tomorrow today. In the next room, after a soldier reported his work, he looked at Yefeng, who was resting, asked Major, why don't we go directly to the hospital? My subordinate just checked the map and found that it is only 8 or 9 kilometers away from here. Yefeng glanced at the soldier in front of him, patted him on the shoulder, and said seriously, what time is it? Don't you know it's disturbing the people? It's not too late to go tomorrow morning. Okay, you can go out. The question mark on the soldier's end, disturbing the people? You came here and broke the window directly. I didn't see you saying that you were disturbing the people. This is too double standard. But he just thought about this. Questioning the order from the summit. Young man? Have you ever worn your little shoes? The night became quiet again, leaving only the roar of zombies still roaring. As the morning star appeared on the horizon, the sun quickly rose from the horizon, and a new day arrived. Because there were a lot of things going on today. Including Lin Fan, almost no one at home slept in. Everyone got up at around 7 o'clock in the morning, except for a certain cat lady. After getting dressed under Zhao Yanyan's service, Lin Fan stretched his muscles and bones and ordered, don't call Ching Ching today, wait until she wakes up naturally. Poof. Zhao Yanyan couldn't help but laugh out loud. Looking at Mu Yuking, who was sleeping like a dead pig, she didn't feel guilty at all for cheating her good sister. Instead, she felt a little gloating about her misfortune. Dare you laugh? Were you the one who gave Ching Ching the clothes yesterday? Zhao Yanyan looked innocent when Lin Fan glared at her, but it was clearly written on her face that I did it on purpose. You can't rely on me for this matter. Who knew Ching Ching could be so useless? I pinched my ears and stopped eating. I'm still addicted to eating. Can you blame me if I can't wake up today? It's up to you whether it's justified or not. Lin Fan glanced sideways at Zhao Yanyan and didn't say anything. Anyway, he was the one who got the benefit. It was very comfortable for him last night. Naturally, Mu Yuking was the one who suffered. Mao Er the maid is really good. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 115. Chapter 115 Earth Element Control Advanced Level 6, The Terrifying Defense of Earth Walls. In the hospital square, nearly 1,000 women gathered here. There were many things going on today. After dinner, Lin Yuyu came here first. 621 women, every 20 people stood in a row, a total of 31 rows. At a glance, they were all densely packed with human heads. These are the women who chose to become female warriors yesterday, a total of 621 people. In the blink of an eye, he took a few steps to the front of the women. Looking at the phalanx of hundreds of people in front of him, Lin Fan felt a lot of emotion in his heart. After all, the verbal description was not as good as seeing it with his own eyes. The phalanx of more than 600 people was indeed spectacular. System, redeem me 607 Tang knives. Ding. After deducting 6,070 points, Tang Dao has been sent to the master's personal space. The points that were already not rich were reduced by more than half. The reason why they were redeemed for 607 is because there were some women who were not qualified before, were kicked out by Lin Yuyu, and were frightened by Wang Kui's thugs and could not swing their swords. Such women are still obedient. Just go to the bottom and save your life on the battlefield. After glancing around with cold eyes, Lin Fan took in the expressions of all the women. I don't care what your purpose is in choosing to become a female warrior, it doesn't matter. The moment you pick up the knife, you'd better be prepared to die. After saying that, Lin Fan waved his hand casually, and 621 Tang knives appeared out of thin air. The bright Tang knives with their handles were inserted into the ground in front of the girls like meteors falling to the ground, and they were buried in the ground for 3 minutes. This is a weapon that will accompany you throughout your life. The sword will be there for you, but it will destroy everyone. I hope you will keep it in mind. After saying this, Lin Fan nodded to Lin Yuyu next to him. Lin Yuyu will arrange all the next things. They were all explained yesterday. Lin Fan will not care about the rest. Today's task is very heavy. Improve the earth attribute ability, then erect a barbed wire fence in an area of euro 10 kilometers, and then build a city wall. Turn around and leave, shrinking the ground under your feet, but after taking a few steps, in the eyes of the girls, you are just a shadow was left, and then disappeared completely. Taking over Lin Fan's work, Lin Yuyu looked at the women who were divided into 2 square formations in front of her, and commanded Li Fengqiao, Zhu Fangfang, Su Yan, 157 people including you are divided into 2 groups. 2 teams were formed, with Li Saiqi and Zhao Yanyan as captains, clearing away zombies from the east and west sides within a 10-kilometer radius and moving further away. Zhao Yanyan and Li Saiqi took a step forward and waved to Li Fengqiao and others. The phalanx of 157 people was quickly dispersed, gathered around the 2 of them, and then ran directly from the gate to the east and west sides. Zhao Wanqing, lead these new recruits to clean up all the zombies in the north and south areas and ensure that there is no zombie within 10 kilometers. Yes. Guaranteed to complete the task. Zhao Wanqing took a step forward, her eyes were cold and stern, she waved her palm and shouted, Jasmine, Zhou Ziyan, come out. In the crowd, Zhou Ziyan and Jasmine were shocked, and they took a step forward under the envious eyes of many female warriors. Jasmine, I know something about your ability. Your task today is to lead 300 people to clean up all the zombies in the North District. Zhou Ziyan, you lead the rest of the people with me to the South District. I need you to remember that there is nothing scary about zombies. The really scary thing is you. Now, take up your weapons and follow me. Zhao Wanqing acted resolutely. After her voice fell, Zhou Ziyan pulled out the tang knife from the ground and led the 320 people at the front to Zhao Wanqing quickly. Then she went straight to the North District. The remaining 299 people, including Jasmine, turned around and charged towards the back door of the hospital, that is, in the direction of the South District. After everyone left, Lin Yuyu looked at the last 89 maids. Your task today is to find a car and bring all the cars that can be driven on the streets within a 10-kilometer radius. Find them all and mark them. Do you understand everything? The 89 maids who were still a little confused nodded quickly and responded in unison, I understand. Go ahead. The 89 maids spread out and ran in the 4 directions of east, west, north, and south. They began to look for vehicles that could start normally along the way. After finding them, they put the prepared labels on the roofs of the vehicles. Almost everyone in the entire hospital was in action. 10 kilometers to the east, looking at the zombies still wandering on the ground, Lin Fan raised his arms. In an instant, the ground behind him seemed to come to life, stirring crazily, and then hundreds of sharp soil cones rose from the ground. It curved in mid-air and then extended indefinitely. The zombies that smelled Lin Fan's living scent howled and rushed towards Lin Fan. Hundreds of sharp thorns passed through the air. The rushing zombies were instantly strung into countless candied haws. Ding. Killing zombies add 1, points add 1, Earth element control experience add 1, current experience is 500/500. Ding. Your ability to control the Earth element has been upgraded. Your current level is LV5, and your ability to control the Earth element has been improved. Ding. Add 1 for killing zombies, add 1 points, add 1 Earth element control experience, current experience is 20/1000. Ding. Add 1 for killing zombies, add 1 points, add 1 Earth element control experience, current experience is 251/1000. Ding. The prompts jumped wildly in his mind until the last zombie was penetrated. Hundreds of dragon-like ground thorns dissipated out of thin air and turned into dust and returned to the ground. Hundreds of zombies lost support and fell to the ground. The earth element energy in the body was turbulent, and the four-dimensional attributes were slowly increasing, and then calmed down soon. It's only level 5, it's not enough. Shaking his head, Lin Fan walked to the designated place and spread out his palms casually. The vehicles on both sides decomposed at this moment, and boundless steel powder floated into the air, eventually forming pieces of barbed wire connected together. Lifting his feet with a gentle stamp, the ground cracked, and the barbed wire mesh sank nearly 1 meter along the crack. The cracked ground slowly closed together, and there was no trace of any cracks. The steel wire mesh was 3 meters high, with countless steel wires intertwined. The largest hole is no more than the size of a child's fist, the steel wire is as thick as an index finger, the steel pipe connecting the steel mesh is solidly cast, and is as thick as an adult's forearm, and the high-strength compressed steel pillar cannot be destroyed even by a missile in a short time. A piece of steel wire mesh was nearly 100 meters long, completely separating both sides of the street. He leaned forward and tapped his fingers on the steel wire. Listening to the thick sound, Lin Fan nodded with satisfaction. Although these steel wire meshes it is only used for urgent needs, but at least the quality and quantity must be maintained. The figure flew into the air, and as Lin Fan flew past, the abandoned vehicles on the street were decomposed one after another, forming pieces of brand new steel wire mesh standing on the ground, with a limit of 10 kilometers. The streets on both sides were completely isolated, and the zombies that came over after smelling the smell of living people were blocked by the steel wire mesh. Cleaning up the zombies, breaking down the vehicles, and setting up the steel wire mesh, 3 points and 1 line, the experience of controlling the earth element increased rapidly. The steel wire mesh on the east side is about to be completed. Ding. Killing zombies add 1, points add 1, earth element control experience add 1, current experience is 1000/1000. Ding. Your ability to control the earth element has been upgraded. Your current level is LV6, and your ability to control the earth element has been improved. After clearing out some of the obstructive zombies again, the earth elemental control power was upgraded. After crossing the limit of LV5, every time you advance, the power will have a qualitative change from the previous level. The earth element energy in the body becomes thicker, and the defense of the watch is stronger, and the quality of energy is also higher. Earth wall. After the promotion was completed, Lin Fan raised his foot and stamped his foot. A 2-meter-high earth wall rose from the ground. Lin Fan stepped forward and looked at it carefully. The earth wall was completely black and gray and looked very textured. There were fine details on the wall. The lines seemed to be the scales of some animal. Lin Fan could feel it when he touched it. These fine lines seemed to be deliberately repelling his strength. Dong dong. He raised his middle finger and tapped on the earth wall. There was a dull sound. There was a sound like a metal collision, which showed that the texture was very tyrannical. Lin Fan took out the pistol he had captured before, pointed it at the earth wall and pulled the trigger. The sound of the gun echoed, the bullets in the magazine were empty, and there were white streaks on the wall. The seal did not appear. Lin Fan took out the microcharge from before, pointed at the earth wall and pulled the trigger mercilessly. After the bullet was empty, there was still no white mark on the earth wall. Looking at this defensive power, Lin Fan nodding secretly, he took out the anti-materiel sniper rifle from before. He pulled the trigger at close range, and flames burst out from the muzzle of the large-caliber anti-materiel sniper rifle. A bullet burst out of the barrel. Lin Fan narrowed his eyes. The bullet was traveling at extremely high speed in his eyes. Slowing down, the dense cyclone drew a long line behind the bullet, and the golden bullet hit the earth wall instantly. Ripples visible to the naked eye spread out, like a drop of water on the surface of the water, and the impact followed those fine lines. It spread, rippled to the surroundings, and then quickly returned to the far point. The force was no less than that of a bullet hitting the wall. It rebounded at this moment. The sharp bullet head was instantly crushed, and then lost power and fell to the ground. At an extremely slow angle, this bullet bounced back. With everything in sight, a strange color flashed in Lin Fan's eyes. These fine scale-like lines were a bit powerful. They actually divided the power of the sniper rifle bullet and then bounced it back. There is no doubt about the power of the anti-materiel sniper rifle. Even the least powerful anti-materiel sniper rifle can penetrate a 10 mm thick steel plate within a mid-range range of 500 meters without the influence of external forces. This is a 10 mm thick steel plate. It is such a powerful destructive power. But there is no way to leave any white mark on the earth wall in front of me. This is enough to prove the defensive ability of this earth wall. I am afraid that it will only be possible to use cannons and missiles to cause damage to it. It has verified the defensive ability of the earth wall. Lin Fan waved his hand and dispersed the earth wall. The L6 Earth attribute power was theoretically enough for defense, but Lin Fan still felt a little unsatisfied. However, considering that he needed to kill 10,000 zombies to advance to LV7, Lin Fan had it. Nod big. Let's go to LV6. Use it for now. When you advance to LV7, you can strengthen the city wall again. That being said, Lin Fan is not in a hurry to erect the city wall now. Firstly, there is not enough time, and secondly, it is too slow. The top priority is to erect a steel wire mesh to prevent zombies from wandering in endlessly. It's not a problem if it can't be cleaned up all the time. After putting down the last piece of steel mesh on the east side, Lin Fan planned to go to the south district, but before he could leave, he heard a roar flying from the distance. His eyes subconsciously looked over. Lin Fan narrowed his eyes slightly. At an altitude of several hundred meters, a camouflage-colored armed helicopter flew through the sky, flying straight towards the hospital. Seeing this military helicopter, Lin Fan sighed. What is supposed to come has come, the evil spirit will never die. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Doomsday. Chapter 116. Chapter 116 Yefeng's shock. Let me give you a warning first. Although he went to bed relatively late at the Bing Bing Club, Yefeng got up very early, and several soldiers, including the driver, were waiting outside. After what happened last night, Shen Bingbing and the three women basically didn't sleep well, and they all got up at dawn in the morning. After simply eating something, after Shen Bingbing and the other two had packed up their things, the group boarded the helicopter and flew to the Second Key Hospital in the Magical City. Yefeng has always kept those women in the Second Key Hospital in his heart. After seeing them last time, Yefeng was surprised by their physical fitness and courage. He didn't want these good soldiers to sink into the tide of corpses. It can be said that in Yefeng's eyes, the women in the second key hospital are much more important than Shen Bingbing. A military helicopter flew over the sky. In the cabin, Yefeng was closing his eyes to rest. After his last experience, he didn't even go to the rooftop of the Dawa commercial building. He knew there was no point in going there. If the other party didn't want him to find out, it would be useless for him to wander around 10 times. It would be easier to wait for the army to enter the city and then conduct a blanket search, so he would just go straight to the hospital. On the way, the main driver in the cab looked at the steel wire mesh erected on the ground with confusion, turned to the co-pilot next to him and asked, "Did you see these steel wire mesh when you came here last time?" The co-pilot glanced at the steel wire mesh that was getting farther and farther away, thought for a while, and asked, "I didn't seem to be here last time, right?" "If you ask me, who should I ask?" The soldier on the main driver suddenly felt embarrassed. "Decisively skip this question, stop talking, and concentrate on flying the helicopter." On the ground, watching the military helicopters flying over the sky, Lin Fan felt a little helpless. These big guys are just evil-minded. Why don't they just be your local emperors? Why do you have to come here to provoke him? It's a waste of his time and feelings. After shaking his head, Lin Fan gave up on continuing to lay the steel mesh in the south and turned back to the hospital. At this time, he still needed to make the decision. Using shrink, Lin Fan's figure flickered on the street. 1 second he was hundreds of meters away, and the next second he disappeared. He was many times faster than a helicopter. In the cabin, a soldier looked down at the ground with confusion in his eyes. "Why are all the zombies dead?" The soldier next to him seemed to hear something, turned around and asked in confusion, "Everything is dead." "Look below, all the zombies on the street seem to be dead, and there is not a single standing zombie at all. Ita Euro trademark is so strange. Could it be that they were cleaned up by some survivor force? Real or fake?" The soldier next to him heard this and looked at the ground through the glass. He was suddenly surprised and said, "It's true, there are too many zombies killed. There are so many corpses on the ground." The conversation between the two attracted Yefeng's attention. Yefeng frowned, looked at the two and asked, "What are you two talking about?" The two soldiers were startled, and quickly stood up and saluted. "Report to the major, we found that all the zombies on the street below are dead, and they are suspected to have been cleaned up by a force composed of survivors." Yefeng was stunned when he heard this, and quickly moved to the window to look at the ground, looking at the countless corpses lying on the street, and shouted, "Driver, lower the height." The height of the helicopter dropped, and Yefeng could see more clearly. Looking at the piles of zombie corpses on the street, Yefeng was indescribably shocked. He discovered that these zombies were not killed by guns, but were all killed by cold weapons. This shocked him so much. The concepts of using guns and using cold weapons are different. Firearms are meant to stand at a distance and shoot, while cold weapons require close combat. The infectious power of zombies is terrifying. If you are not careful, even one bite is enough to be infected into zombies. At a glance, there are more than thousands of corpses on the spacious street. Yefeng can't imagine what kind of brutal battle he went through to kill all these zombies. Death. The zombies' heads are almost all thinking about the east. In other words, the people who clean up are coming from the west. Looking along the street to the end, in front of the long street, there is the sign of the second key hospital in the Magic City. It's so conspicuous. Shouldn't this be? Recalling the first time he saw the women in the hospital using tang knives to kill zombies from a helicopter, Yefeng carefully looked at the wounds on the zombies. The length was very similar to the wounds caused by tang knives. Thinking that it was the women in the hospital who rushed out to kill the zombies, Yefeng was indescribably shocked. Even if he led a team of strictly trained special forces and held cold weapons, he would not be able to achieve such a shocking result. He simply couldn't dare to imagine how tough and courageous those women in the hospital are. The more shocked he was, the more Yefeng wanted to bring all the women in the hospital back to the military area. With such a strong quality, with a little training, he would definitely be a sharp knife that is second to none. Major Ye, there are still 300 meters away from the second key hospital in Magic City. Listening to the voice from the driver in front, Yefeng took a deep breath and packed his luggage. He was ready. In the hospital, Lin Fan moved a large sofa and sat in front of the supermarket, with 3 poodles beside him. One of them, Li Yun, stood beside him with a fruit plate and delivered the cut fruits piece by piece to Lin Fan. Lin Yu was also sitting next to her. She already knew the purpose of Lin Fan's return. Lin Yu also felt a little annoyed about the military region. I simply settled everything today. The roar of the helicopter came from far away. Lin Fan raised his head and glanced, just in time to see the helicopter flying overhead. I wonder if the person driving the helicopter noticed Lin Fan on the ground. The helicopter he changed the direction and landed towards the hospital. The dust was blown up by the hurricane blown by the propeller. Lin Fan rolled his eyes and grabbed it. The armed helicopter was fixed in mid-air, and everything including the propeller and the engine where it stopped functioning, and then was casually placed on the ground by Lin Fan like a toy. In the cab, the alarm sounded long, and the driver looked at the mess of pointers and instruments in front of him. Everyone was dumbfounded, especially the operating lever. He was disobedient, and his heart almost stopped in fear. Until he landed safely on the ground, the driver didn't realize what was going on. The engine stalled for no reason. And then there was no crash. No matter how you look at it, isn't it weird? In the cabin, Yefeng heard the piercing siren, and the helicopter's weird state. Yefeng also felt it, and felt that something was wrong. Yefeng said with a serious expression, "What's going on? Why did the alarm suddenly go off?" "Major Ye, my subordinates don't know. Judging from the dashboard, our helicopter's power system has lost its function, the engine stalled, the propeller stopped operating, and then the height dropped from more than 70 meters in an instant we saw 0 meters, which means we have landed now. But theoretically speaking, it is impossible for us to land so fast. Even if the propeller stops operating, it is impossible to land directly on the ground within 1 second. Even if we can, our current situation should be a crash and explosion. But now we have nothing to do." Looking at the main pilot's appearance of about to collapse, Yefeng took a deep breath and looked out the window. He had indeed fallen to the ground. This operation seemed to be a little unsatisfactory. Yefeng had never calculated it. Unexpectedly, the supernatural power he had been looking for was actually here in the hospital, and it happened to him, but he was passive. Yefeng was also a major who experienced strong winds and waves, and quickly calmed down. "Let's go down, the other party should be waiting for us." After saying that, Yefeng opened the door of the cabin and stepped out of the helicopter. With a resolute glance, Yefeng quickly noticed Lin Fan at the entrance of the supermarket. There was nothing he could do. The target was too big and too conspicuous. "Look." Sitting on the sofa, Lin Fan was looking at him with his arms crossed. Yefeng glanced at Li Yun, who had a collar around his neck and was feeding Lin Fan with a fruit plate. He then looked at Lin Yu, who was sitting next to him, silently labeling Lin Fan a bad guy. There was nothing he could do about it. The collar around Li Yun's neck didn't look like something a good person would do. In fact, Lin Fan took the blame, but it didn't matter, and neither did Lin Fan. Will care about other people's opinions. Deng deng deng. The door of the supermarket was pushed open, and Suzialuo, who had slept peacefully, ran out like a happy little rabbit. His big eyes curiously looked at the military equipment that fell on the ground. "Helicopter, and then looked at a bunch of soldiers curiously. To be honest, this was the first time she had seen such a big guy at such a close distance in her entire life. She walked all the way to the helicopter and looked at it carefully. She was completely surprised. Keeping Yefeng and others in mind, a few soldiers wanted to scold them, but were stopped by Yefeng. Yefeng had already seen it. Wasn't the little loli in front of him the first person before, that little girl in the video? As for the man in front of him, his profile also reminded him of the immortal flying from the sky. Yefeng felt very emotional in his heart. Could this be considered as a deliberate attempt to plant flowers that will not bloom, but an unintentional planting of willows that will create shade? He didn't even plan to look for it, but the blind cat happened to run into a dead mouse. Thinking of the zombies on the street, Yefeng was instantly relieved. With such powerful people around, those zombies shouldn't be too much of a problem. Lin Fan didn't pay attention to Suzioluo's curious behavior. He just let her take a look if she was curious. Suzioluo had just completed a big thing. Let alone take a look, there was no problem even leaving the helicopter. As long as Suzioluo spoke. As for how these people in front of them will go back, Lin Fan thinks it depends on the situation. If they don't know what is good, they will disappear from the world. If their attitude is still human, let them go back and spread the word. Yefeng and Lin Fan looked at each other and packed their bags. Yefeng strode forward and stopped 3 meters away from Lin Fan. Major Yefeng of the Lu family, the warlord of Zhili Demon City, what is your name? Lin Fan. Yefeng understood in his heart and spread his hands to the side. Soon the soldiers behind him sent a report to Yefeng. Looking at Yefeng's actions, Lin Fan knew that the highlight was coming. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 117. Chapter 117, You are speechless. If you don't move, you are a bastard. Under Lin Fan's gaze, Yefeng opened the report and said loudly after discussion with the generals of the Lu family of the warlord of Demon City, if you are willing to dedicate your strength to save all mankind and destroy zombies, the Lu family of the warlord of Demon City will it has been decided to grant you the rank of Lieutenant General and all the corresponding rights, and grant you the Medal of Hero. Lin Fan looked playfully, good guy, he is a Lieutenant General, he is so awesome, he is indeed not his official, so he can be awarded the title casually, this seems like what? Oh, by the way, during the Three Kingdoms period, when the Emperor was held hostage to command the princes, they could be granted titles such as State Pastor, Governor, General, and various titles as if they were free of money. Waving his hand, Lin Fan said nonchalantly, okay, don't talk nonsense. Even if I don't understand the ways of the army, I still know that Lieutenant General is not something that a military region can do casually. I just gave it to you. You see, you are also a smart person. You don't a Euro trademark T know the current situation, right? Or are you pretending not to know? The major military regions have established themselves as kings, and you are here to talk to me about saving all mankind. Who do you represent? Apart from anything else, the Lu family of the warlord of the Demon City is located in the suburbs, where the population is not densely populated. For a month, the Lu family of the warlord of the Demon City remained motionless, sitting and watching the millions of survivors of the Demon City die tragically. Time, where were you? Not to mention the distance, a month has passed and the Lu family, the warlord of the Demon City, is still staying in the suburbs. Hundreds of thousands of officers and soldiers are motionless. So many advanced weapons are placed in the military area. Do you know what it means to be motionless? If you don't move, you are a bastard. Getting up from the sofa, Lin Fan glared at Yefeng and others. He only had a system to survive and live happily. Where are the others? Look at Zhao Wanqing. If it weren't for him, he would have probably committed suicide by jumping off the building, right? Look again, look at the other women in the hospital, such as Li Yun and Li Fengqiao. When these people were suffering, where was the military rescue that was given high hopes? There was no movement at all. Now that I see good things, I want to take them for myself? Why? All the good things in the world belong to you. ETA Euro trademark S, all based on Western religious thinking. Donor, you are destined to be a Buddha, come with me. IA Euro trademark LL Go NMLGB. Lin Fan admits that he is an out-and-out bad guy, but he also has at least some the bottom line, but these big guys have no bottom line at all. The officers and soldiers are right, but these big guys are heartbroken. Holding the documents in both hands, Ye Feng has blue veins on the back of his hands. Doesn't a Euro trademark T he know this? He knew it in his heart, but it was the duty of a soldier to obey orders, and he could do nothing. Handing the document in his hand to the soldier behind him, Ye Feng's eyes were filled with bloodshot eyes, and he felt uncomfortable having his scars revealed. Sorry, the decision of the military region is not something that I, a mere major, can influence, but I can guarantee that the military region is already taking action. In 2 days at the latest, the army will enter the city to clean up the zombies and rescue survivors. Haha, rescue survivors? I think it's a blanket search for me, the god, right? Lin Fan sneered mercilessly. Ye Feng nodded and did not answer. Regarding Ye Feng in front of him, Lin Fan had no intention of continuing to ridicule him. He was right. It was the big guys who were blinded by power who were wrong. Re-sitting back on the sofa, Lin Fan folded his arms and asked, "You probably don't know I'm here. What's the purpose of coming to the hospital this time? Don't tell me that you are attracted to my woman." Facing Lin Fan's unkind gaze, Ye Feng nodded and said bluntly, "I do fall in love with the women here. Of course, it's not about men and women. Last time I passed by here, I saw the excellent fighting qualities of those women. I think these women are good candidates for joining the army and should be systematically cultivated, so." Boom. Tap tap tap. The ground was shaking, and dense footsteps rushed quickly from a distance. Zhao Wanqing took the lead. Before the figure arrived, the sound came over first. "No need, with the Lord, our life is very good, even better than before the end. I just hope that your army will show its dirty hands to us again." The footsteps rumbled. Hearing the sound coming from behind, Ye Feng turned to look behind him and was stunned for a moment. Tens of meters behind, a woman with a cold face led hundreds of women to rush towards. The women held tang knives, and the cold blades were stained with blood. As hundreds of people quickly approached, a strong evil aura hit their faces. Even though Ye Feng was determined, his hands were stained with the blood of many enemies. Facing this evil spirit, he still felt palpitating. The few soldiers around him were even worse. Facing this persistent evil spirit, their faces turned pale. If they didn't have a fearless heart, they would just afraid that he would be knocked to the ground by the aura as soon as he met. The distance of tens of meters was nothing to Zhao Wanqing and the girls behind him. A few meters apart, Zhao Wanqing raised her arms, and the girls behind her started to shout. "Stop," although it is not to the level of order and prohibition, order, but it is already commendable to be able to achieve this point after being out for more than an hour. A few kilometers away, Zhao Wanqing saw the military helicopter flying over the horizon and knew what was going on. No, Zhao Wanqing didn't let the women kill the zombies anymore, and immediately ordered them to rush back with the girls. They happened to hear what Ye Feng just said. Not long after Zhao Wanqing led the team back, there was another slight vibration on the ground. Dense footsteps came from the direction of the back door of the hospital area. Jasmine rushed back with all the women, and also stopped a few meters away from Ye Feng and others. Hundreds of women blocked almost all escape routes, and several hundreds of eyes were fixed on Ye Feng and others in the center, with scrutiny, vigilance, hatred, expectation, etc. in their eyes. Ye Feng was stunned, looking at the hundreds of women divided into two rows in front of him, unable to look back for a long time. God! When he came last time, there were only a few dozen women here, but now there are hundreds or even thousands, and each of them has an amazing momentum. Although it is not as disciplined and rigorous as the army, it is not too different. Look at the weapons in the hands of these people, they are all using cold weapons like tang knives to fight zombies. Shocking. Ye Feng's heart was filled with shock, and at the same time there was unspeakable bitterness in his heart. Hundreds of thousands of officers and soldiers in the military region had these weapons in their hands. He has advanced weapons and equipment, as well as a large number of heavy weapons, but in the face of the Doomsday, he still clings to the military area without leaving a single step. Although these are all orders from the top, but compared with the self-reliant women in front of him, he really feels shameless to face them. Feel. Your name is Ye Feng, right? Awakened by Lin Fan's voice, Ye Feng turned back to look at Lin Fan and responded, yes, Ye Feng. You have seen the situation. To be honest, I don't want to let you go back. I even want to keep you forever. After all, the later the military area knows about me, the less trouble it will cause me. Sitting on the sofa, Lin Fan looked calm and looked directly at Ye Feng across from him. Seeing that there was no fear in his eyes, he continued, but after thinking about it, I gave up this idea. Sooner or later, the military region you will all find something abnormal here. After all, my actions will be a bit big next, so there is no need to keep you forever. What's more, your military helicopters also have positioning systems. After a little investigation, you will know where your accident is. Here I have a few words to say to you and the senior military officials behind you. Don't be too greedy as a person. I have always been respectful and insensitive to the military region. I don't want to take the initiative to provoke the military region. But if those big guys are greedy enough to cause trouble, then don't blame me. I have always had zero tolerance for this kind of thing. As long as if you take action, I will definitely kill them all. Don't question my determination and ability, do you understand? Major Ye Feng. Facing Lin Fan's aggressive gaze and unkind tone, Ye Feng nodded silently. I will convey your words, but I can't influence the actions of the higher UPS. Lin Fan knew clearly in his heart that the subtext of Ye Feng's words was that with the military's character, there is a high probability that he would not settle down, but it doesn't matter. He has already said what he should say. Some people are destined to be, he deserves to die. It doesn't a Euro trademark T matter, you just need to convey it, no matter what the result is. Getting up from the sofa, Lin Fan walked up to Ye Feng step by step, raised his hand and patted him on the shoulder, saying, do you mind doing me a favor? As long as it doesn't violate military discipline, I can help you. Yo-yo, go gather those maids, I have something to say. Lin Yu was slightly startled, then got up and walked towards the dormitory. Ye Feng looked very confused. He didn't understand what Lin Fan was going to do, and Lin Fan didn't explain it. In fact, this was all Lin Fan's sudden idea, and it happened to be with Ye Feng, a man from the military here. He could try some things. Soon, all the maids followed Lin Yu and rushed past. From a distance, they saw military helicopters parked in the open space. Ye Feng and others, the eyes of these maids flashed with surprise. Lin Fan's sharp eyes took in the expressions of these women, and he couldn't help but shake his head in his heart. Hundreds of maids stopped one after another under Lin Yu's instructions, and Lin Fan crossed Ye Feng, walked up to these maids. I believe you have also seen that the one beside me is Major Ye Feng from the Lu family, the warlord of the Demon City. He came here with a mission. You should have guessed it by now. Some of you are willing to follow Ye Feng. Major leaving. Lin Fan's voice was not loud, but it clearly reached the ears of all the women. Listening to Lin Fan's words, The expressions of excitement on the women's faces became more intense, but no one dared to move. He sneered in his heart, Lin Fan's face still calm, no mood or anger visible. You only have this chance. If you want to get rid of your current life and become a free man and follow Major Ye Feng, you can walk to the open space on the right. As he said that, Lin Fan pointed to the open space on the right. Hearing what Lin Fan said, the women hesitated briefly. After all, someone took the first step and walked to the open space on the right with his head lowered. People walk towards it. Is human nature to walk in high places. How can a maid be a free person? What's more, she has to do farm work. These women have almost never touched them before. Facing a better life, these women are tempted. The first person took the lead. Many of the maids could not stand. They were afraid that they would not have a chance if they were too late, so they ran to the right anxiously. Looking at the scene in front of him, Lin Fan smiled. Some people are just not satisfied. Completely forgetting who rescued them from the hell that was so hot that they were even worse than dogs. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Doomsday. Chapter 118. Chapter 118. I can take you out of hell, and I can also kick you back. In the crowd on the left, women kept running to the right, with eager expressions on their faces, even joy, as if the right was heaven. There are fewer and fewer women on the left. In this society, not many people know how to be grateful, and no one is willing to be a slave. Even if the quality of life is not bad, just this title is enough to make many people unacceptable. As time passed by, Lin Fan's face remained calm, taking in all the women's expressions. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Looking at the sparsely populated area on the left with only a few dozen people, Lin Fan asked, "Aren't you going to go over? This is the only chance I have. I'm not that big. I'll give you more if no one passes the opportunity to choose. I will shout stop." Lin Fan's words were like the whispers of a devil, constantly bewitching the ears of a few dozen women. The women were either biting their lips, or they held the corners of their clothes tightly, but in the end no one came to the right. "Okay, you have no chance." Listening to Lin Fan's seemingly boring and helpless voice, dozens of women breathed a sigh of relief, as if they no longer had to endure that kind of torture, while hundreds of women on the right also breathed a sigh of relief, with joy on their faces. Even his eyes were filled with longing for the future life. Seeing the joyful expressions on the faces of these women and the longing in their eyes, Ye Feng's throat moved. He wanted to say that these were actually a trap, but the words came to a head. He agreed to help Lin Fan, which did not violate military discipline. He had no reason to speak, not to mention that he needed to be responsible for his soldiers. Lin Fan made it clear before, let them go back, but will there be a price for such a thing? As Lin Fan said, he is not afraid of the military region. The worst he can do is detain him forever. If a major and a few soldiers die, so what? Will the Liu family of the capital warlord continue to use intercontinental missiles to bomb this area? Or will bombers come to wash the land? Stop making trouble. If it hadn't reached an irreversible situation, the military region would not have fought with Lin Fan just because he was a major. Completely torn apart. He can die, but these soldiers are innocent, not to mention that he still wants to work hard, even if he knows that he cannot change the minds of the higher UPS, he just wants to save the lives of more soldiers. All the rules are like a mold. He was trapped tightly, and he had no way to resist. His eyes swept over the women on the right, and Lin Fan turned to look at the female warriors behind Zhao Wanqing and Jasmine. These women were all rescued yesterday. Faith, the value is very limited. Lin Fan also wants to test it. What about you? If you also want to leave, you can stand over. This is your only chance. After Lin Fan said this, a strange scene appeared in front of his eyes, and Lin Fan's face suddenly darkened. Behind Zhao Wanqing, the women were stunned for a moment, then grabbed the tang dao in their hands, and all took 2 steps back. That expression seemed to say, "You fooled me into handing over the knife, you bad old man, you are such a bad thief." Looking at the wary looks of these women, Lin Fan felt a little embarrassed. Good guy, ask wrong person. However, Lin Fan is still very happy with the choice of these female warriors. It seems that these women are not content with the status quo and have a heart to become stronger. There is more Lin Fan on his face. With a smile that he didn't even know he had, he turned his gaze back to the women on the right who wanted to leave with him. The smile on Lin Fan's face disappeared. Seeing this, Ye Feng couldn't help but close his eyes. He knew that the man next to him was not what kind of good men believe in women. Maybe what these women will face next will be hell. To be honest, your choice was beyond my expectation. It was just a test, but so many people are not satisfied with the status quo. You have all forgotten who rescued you from the pit of fire and gave you a stable life. It seems that I am still too kind. The 2 plain words exploded in the ears of the women on the right like thunder, shattering their vision for the future, shattering the joy in their hearts, and freezing their hearts to the bone. Lord, I am here. Not even bothering to look at the women on the right, Lin Fan turned his eyes to the left, and the smile appeared on his face again. I don't Euro trademark T know why you chose to stay. Thank you. Or are you content with the status quo? Gamble. It doesn't matter. I can tell you that your choice is not wrong. You, write down the names of these women. After you figure out the class system in the future, the status of these women must be at least in the penultimate class. From today on, arrange some leisure time for them, I say. Remember it all. Lin Yu nodded and glanced at the dozens of women on the left, taking in the appearance of all of them. Remember, I will do it later. Turning around, without even looking at the ashen-faced women on the right, who looked as if they were mourning for their heirs, Lin Fan patted Ye Feng on the shoulder and said with a smile, "Thank you, Major Ye, for cooperating with me. It's getting late, so go back early. If you leave early, you can still catch up with dinner. I'm quite busy here, so I won't keep you much longer." Ye Feng remained silent and did not speak. He quickly boarded the military helicopter with several soldiers behind him. Under the control of the pilot, the helicopter's various functions were restarted. Soon the helicopter rose into the sky and flew into the distance. Go. Watching the helicopter go away, Lin Fan knew that if he went back this time, he would be in more trouble. But it didn't matter. It was not suitable for him to make the first move on the military side. He had to let the other party provoke him so that he could take action. Reason. Sooner or later, the Magic City will be his world. If he wants to develop outside, the military region cannot be bypassed. In comparison, he hopes that the big guys in the military region will take the initiative to cause trouble for him, so that he will not have to bear the burden of taking action. Lord, are you just going to let them go? Do you want me to follow you? Zhao Wanqing walked to Lin Fan and stared at the helicopter flying away with a cold murderous intent in her eyes. No, let them go, I can't keep my word, he chuckled and shook his head. He was joking. If Zhao Wanqing went over and blew up the helicopter, wouldn't that be a reason for the military region to cause trouble? Lin Fan was not that stupid. Seeing Lin Fan's determined expression, Zhao Wanqing nodded silently. Turned around, held Zhao Wanqing in his arms, patted her back, and comforted her. Don't stay here anymore, take the people and continue to clean up the zombies. I will continue to work on my work at home, let Yo-Yo handle it. Lowering his head and kissing Zhao Wanqing's little cheek, Lin Fan jumped into the sky, pulling out streaks of lightning behind him, and ran straight to the South District. He still had not set up the wire mesh. After Lin Fan left, Zhao Wanqing also took him with him. After the people left, Jasmine didn't stay. The huge hospital area quickly became quiet, leaving only Lin Yuyo standing there with a cold face and two groups of women with different faces. Li Yun, have you recorded everything? I don't know when I took out my notebook. Li Yun wrote down the last name, nodded and said, Mother, the dozens of women on the left have been memorized, but the ones on the right have not been memorized yet. Lin Yuyo said nothing, looking at the gray and desperate women on the right with cold eyes, without any mercy in her eyes. Your choice really surprises me. As the old saying goes, no one who is too greedy will end well. This sentence is really suitable for you. The Lord has given you a comfortable environment, a life of food and clothing, no persecution or humiliation, and all you need to do is work. How is this different from before the end of the world? Just as the Lord said, I am still too kind to you. From today on, your food supply will be halved, and everyone will go to work in the fields. I will send people to supervise. If someone is lazy, I believe the zombies will not think you are lazy. Anyone who knows and fails to report will be punished with the same crime, and the entire dormitory will be punished. The Lord can bring you back from hell, and I can also beat you back. Lin Yuyo felt unspeakable anger in her heart. These women are so disappointing. Sure enough, a prosperous life comes too easily, and some people will not cherish it. Everyone on the right has nothing to eat today. Go to work now. Those of you who are still sitting on the ground, are you waiting for the zombies to come and have a heart-to-heart talk with you? The cold shouts made the women feel as if they were falling into the abyss. One by one, their faces were pale, and they got up in despair. They were afraid of death, otherwise they would not have endured the torture of the men before, nor would they have sold their bodies for a bite of bread. Especially after enjoying a comfortable life, they are even more afraid of death. I could have endured the darkness, if I had never seen the light. Hundreds of women did not dare to stay for even a moment, or even complain at all, even if all kinds of vicious curses could only be kept in the heart. Hundreds of women were like frightened mice, running towards the farmland opened up in the courtyard in fear. Seeing these women running away, the anger on Lin Yuyo's face after dissipating a little, he turned to the dozens of women standing on the left who had not yet recovered from the surprise, and said, You performed very well, no matter what the reason is, it doesn't matter. Li Yun, write down the specialties of all of them, such as tailoring, design, gardening, management, etc., and then assign jobs separately after the class system and ecological circle are complete. Now your task is to water and remove insects in the orchard, and then some people will supervise the low-level maids. Li Yun, please make the detailed arrangements. Holding the notebook in her hand, Li Yun was extremely excited. Lin Yuyo's brief words undoubtedly gave her great power, which meant that she had taken another step closer to the inner circle. How could this not make her excited? After Lin Yuyo left, a group of women quickly ran to Li Yun and looked at her expectantly. This flattering look gave Li Yun a feeling of elation. She knew that all this was brought to her by Lin Fan, her master. She did not dare to be careless. Li Yun knew very well what she should do now and how she should do it. You all line up and come to register with me one by one, no chaos. Kaiyu, Yiren, please help me count. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 119. Chapter 119, Interest Disputes Among High-Level Officials, Am I Playing a Lord Development Game? Major, yeah, are we going back like this? A soldier asked hesitantly in the cabin. Ye Feng looked at the soldier and nodded helplessly, What else? We are extremely lucky that the other party can let us go, what more can we ask for? But, the soldier paused and asked unconvinced, does he really dare to detain us? I think that man is probably trying to intimidate us and make us retreat. After all, We are backed by a military region with the most powerful with advanced thermal weapons and equipment, and just his few people. If the military region pursues them, wouldn't they be able to defeat him easily? Ye Feng shook his head slightly, glanced over him, and asked Xiao Wang, "You, how long have you been with me?" Suddenly asked this question, Wang Yi recalled for a moment and said, "Major Kitchen, I have been with you for 4 years and 3 months since I joined the army at the age of 18. 22 years old is the time when you are young and energetic." Ye Feng sighed, looked through the window in the direction of the hospital, and said helplessly, "You are still too young, your mind is very immature, and you are easily impulsive. With the opponent's strength, there is no problem in holding us captive, even if it means killing him. We, the military region, may not know. Our helicopter has satellite positioning. Didn't you think that the other side would kill us and throw us together with the helicopter far away from the hospital?" Ye Feng looked at Wang Yi's young face and the stubbornness in his eyes. He vaguely remembered that when he was a recruit, he was so impulsive. Thinking of what he said to Lin Fan in the hospital, Ye Feng, he said with a sad expression, "Even if the military region knew about this, they would not break up with that man. You don't understand the interest entanglement here, and it's best not to understand it. The current military region has deteriorated." Having said this, Ye Feng slowly closed his eyes, leaving only Wang Yi and a few young soldiers with blank faces. Shen Bingbing and 3 girls next to him trembled when they heard it. It seemed that they heard something they shouldn't. What he heard? Ye Feng, who closed his eyes, had many words left unsaid. He did not want to damage the impression of the army in the minds of these soldiers. Did the military region dare to break up with Lin Fan before clearing the passage? It was obvious. In his opinion, it is impossible. The military district is more than 100 kilometers away from the hospital. If you want to bomb the hospital hundreds of kilometers away, you would not dare to borrow the courage of the military district. There are still many survivors in the Magic City. The Eastern Empire military, the Lu family, the warlord of the Demon City, cannot bear the blame for the land washing of the city with missiles. As long as the Lu family, the warlord of the Demon City, dares to do this, the Lu family of the warlord of the Demon City will be banned in less than a week. Most of them are in the military region. You can use this time to add insult to injury, and at that time the morale of the army will be dispersed. If the morale of the army is dispersed, how can you lead the troops? Where are the soldiers? At the junction of the southeastern district, Lin Fan raised his hand. The abandoned vehicles around him were broken down, and the steel wire mesh was in place. Formed in mid-air, the earth thorns around him pierced the zombies rushing over. Steel wire meshes were erected on the ground. With 10 kilometers as the boundary, the steel wire mesh separated the two sides into 2 worlds. The zombies kept dying, and the points where the earth element control experience has steadily increased, reaching level 6, and it is a bit difficult to advance. 10,000 zombies are not that easy to kill. Fortunately, Li Saiki shares the experience, otherwise it will probably be slower. He has the power of earth element and the magnetic field controls the power. Lin Fan erected the steel wire mesh very quickly. Using the 2 powers at the same time, it was so easy and enjoyable. Soon, a 3-meter-high steel wire mesh was erected in the southern district, surrounding it on both sides of the southeast and 10 kilometers away. Half of the safe zone around Fangyuan has been completed. Next is the west district, and then the north district. After the steel wire mesh is erected, you can concentrate on building the city wall. Why do I feel like I am playing a lore development game? Smacking his tongue, Lin Fan continued to build the barbed wire fence. The zombies were just giving away experience and points. There was nothing else to disturb him. Lin Fan moved very quickly. After the west district, there was the north district. Before noon, Lin Fan finally made it. The steel wire mesh in the 4 directions of southeast, northwest, and northwest has been set up. Standing 10 meters away and looking at the 3-meter-high, connected brand new steel wire mesh in front of him, Lin Fan clapped his hands and said proudly, "I'm still very good at this. What a talent." Feeling smug, Lin Fan looked up at the sun above his head and felt a little bit tired. After working hard all morning, it was time to go back and take a rest. Building the city wall was the real problem in the afternoon, not to mention that he should go back to get it. There is a design drawing. There is no design drawing for this thing. Lin Fan will probably turn it out to be a piece of rubbish, so he won a Euro trademark to show off his shame. As he moved his feet and lifted his feet, the figure was already several hundred meters away. In just 2 or 3 steps, the figure it had already disappeared at the end of the street. Many zombies didn't even realize what was going on. The lunch in front of them evaporated. After a long time, a little red color appeared on the heads of these zombies, and the corpse blood carrying the virus remained along the top of their heads. And then fell to the ground one after another, becoming complete corpses. Ding. Killing zombies add 1, points add 1, Earth element control experience add 1, current experience is 1345/10,000. Ding. Add 1 for killing zombies, add 1 points, add 1 Earth element control experience, current experience is 1521/10,000. Ding. Killing zombies add 1, points add 1, Earth element control experience add 1, current experience is 1615/10,000. At the door of the hospital, Lin Fan's figure suddenly appeared. Hearing the beep in his ear, he grinned. Even with Psyche helping, it's still slow, and there aren't many zombies in the city. It's probably rising. Also limited. This city refers to the area within a 10-kilometer radius, and everything within the steel wire mesh belongs to the inner city safety zone. System, open the properties panel for me. Character, Lin Fan. Strength, 180. Agility, 181. Intelligence, 195. Body 199. Points, 14,360. Ability, Magnetic Field Control LV7 A Lightning Control LV7 A Plant Control LV5 A Earth Element Control Level 6 A One-Tailed Demon Cat A. Experience, 3749/10W, 2722/10W, 235/1000, 1615/10,000, 0/10. Possessed items, Flying Knife *100. In the morning, Plant Control was promoted to 1 level, and Earth Element Control was promoted to 2 levels in a row. The 4-dimensional attributes have been greatly improved, especially in terms of points, which can come back a lot instantly. When the city wall is built and the female warriors rely on the city wall to start cleaning up, there will be a period of rapid growth. But at the moment, except for the veteran female warriors fighting outside the city who can bring a lot of growth, there is not much else. Walking back to the supermarket, on the 2nd floor, he changed into slippers under Li Yun's service. Lin Fan turned around and walked to Suzialuo's room. He opened the door and looked at Suzialuo, who was sitting in bed playing with his mobile phone. Lin Fan shook his head. If the co-author loses his design job, he will start to become a waste. Brother, come on. Seeing Lin Fan come in, Suzialuo put down his cell phone, sat up, patted the seat next to him with his small crystal hand, and shouted, "Brother, sit down, sit down, sit down." Lin Fan walked to the side and sat down. He glanced at the game on his phone. Okay, king of pesticides. But the question is it really okay for you to hang up like this? Your teammates are being beaten. Seeing Lin Fan sit down, Suzialuo smiled and hugged Lin Fan's arm, not caring at all about the screams of the 2 piglets that he had raised for more than 20 years. Suzialuo didn't care, but it didn't mean that Lin Fan didn't feel anything at all. He looked at it calmly, looking at the arms being held. Lin Fan coughed twice, pretended not to care and asked, "Do you want to go out to play with me this afternoon? Follow me out for a walk, build a city wall by the way, and witness the process of building a city wall with your own eyes. Do you feel excited?" Suzyalogo cocked his ears, tilted his head and thought for a while. He seemed to find it very interesting. He nodded, put his little hands on his waist and said, "Of course I'm going. I won't supervise the construction. How can you build a good city wall? If you can't make it well, won't you lose my reputation as a great designer?" Ouch! Hit her smooth forehead with his backhand. Seeing Suzyalogo holding her head and fuming, Lin Fan felt that this was a normal state. "Good guy, Aojiao, who taught you this bad habit? Are you honest?" Puffing up his little face, Suzyalogo nodded his head. "Is it still skinny?" "No more skin. Will it ruin your reputation as a great designer?" The little head shook like a rattle, and Suzyalogo gave in decisively. "No, no. My brother is the most powerful." Lifting up his hand to pinch her little nose, he tapped her forehead with his fingers. Lin Fan was very satisfied with Suzyalogo's knowledge. "Okay, stop playing, eat a Euro trademark, time to eat." Suzyalogo suddenly woke up and looked at the base exploding on the screen of his mobile phone. Everyone was dumbfounded. My promotion match. My credibility points. At the dinner table, Lin Fan looked at Suzyalogo's resentful glances from time to time, and felt funny in his heart. "Isn't it normal for you to hang up and lose the game? What does it have to do with me? I probably deserve a beating." There are not many people at the dinner table. Li Saiki and Zhao Yanyan did not come back. The outer city was 10 kilometers away from the hospital, and it would take more than an hour to run back and forth. It was such a waste of time, so they simply ate outside. The zombies couldn't do anything to them anyway. They couldn't get up all morning. Muyuking was eating with his head down at this time, and his face was almost stuck in the bowl. The dizziness on his face has not disappeared until now. It seems that the gameplay last night was a bit too exciting, so that it is still a little uncomfortable now. Dare to meet people. Ching ching, your demon cat ability should also be demon fire, right? Hearing Lin Fan's inquiry, Muyuking raised her head and looked at Lin Fan's eyes. She didn't know what she was thinking of, and her face became even more rosy. She quickly lowered her head and said in a voice like a mosquito, "Well, yes, my lord. The ability of the demon fire is still very good. If you don't want to rest at home in the afternoon, you can go to the South District to find Jasmine and the others to improve the ability level." Speaking of business, the dizziness on Muyuking's face receded a lot, and his face looked a lot more normal. I don't know if it was the effect of the supernatural power. His slightly narrow beautiful eyes were strangely lazy, and his chin was light. "My lord, I don't want to say anything. Ching Ching also plans to go out in the afternoon to improve her strength. Yanyan and the others have already gone a long way. If they don't pursue them, they won't be able to catch up. I don't a Euro trademark T want to be surpassed too much by the two of them. I want a Euro trademark T be able to survive in terms of face. Okay, just have a plan in mind." Lin Fan didn't say much. Anyway, he had almost eaten. Lin Fan put down his bowls and chopsticks. He originally wanted to take a rest, but at this time, a call suddenly came in. He took the phone from Li Yun and looked at it. Lin Fan was puzzled by the word Zhao Wanking. He didn't see her back for dinner at noon today. What's going on with the phone call now? Something happened. Doomsday, I am the only one in the world who has superpowers. Author, Gugu Da. Chapter 120. Chapter 120 Sudden Sneak Attack, the threat of individual anti-tank rocket launchers. 9 kilometers away from the northwest area, Zhao Wanking led the team, followed by Zhou Ziyan and others, cleaning up all the way, killing nearly 1,000 zombies that wandered over last night along the way. If not because I went back to the hospital midway, I had already finished cleaning up by this time. Standing under a sign, looking at the not too many zombies in front of her, Zhao Wanqing looked around, looking at the women who still had plenty of energy, and said, "It's getting late, get rid of the zombies in the last kilometer. Our mission today is almost completed, let's move on." Including Zhou Ziyan, more than 300 women were immersed in the joy of improving their strength. Naturally, they had no objections to Zhao Wanqing's proposal. Now they saw the zombies, not only was he not afraid, his eyes even shone. Now these zombies are no longer scary man-eating monsters to them, but NPC monsters that can improve their strength. It's like playing an online game. You can clearly feel your strength improving after killing a monster. Really, it's great. Although the improvements in strength and agility in other aspects are relatively small, they are actually improving. They are not too little. They firmly believe that as long as they kill enough, they will definitely compete with the first batch of women. As strong as a warrior. They had seen how powerful those first generations were. The sword spirit in martial arts novels. And looking at the speed of those first generation machines, they are so fast that they can almost be called flying. They knew that it was impossible for them to become a mistress like Zhao Wanqing and obtain that kind of terrifying divine power, but they could definitely achieve this kind of power through their own efforts. That kind of flying speed and the cold sword energy are so cool. What woman doesn't a Euro trademark T have a dream of becoming a heroine? Ruyi Jianghu is not just a dream for men, women also have it. Now that they have such an opportunity, they will naturally not let it go easily. Hundreds of people marched forward with overwhelming momentum. Just when the steel wire mesh was already in sight, a group of well-equipped soldiers in military uniforms suddenly appeared behind them. They even opened fire when they disagreed. The few women at the back suddenly appeared. Suddenly, blood spurted from the waist and they fell to their knees. The sudden situation disrupted the women's position. Zhao Wanqing, who was at the front, paused when she heard the gunshots behind her, crossed the group of corpses, and quickly hurried back to the crowd. What happened? Wanqing, we were ambushed. Hundreds of well-equipped soldiers suddenly appeared behind us. The sneak attack caught us off guard. In fact, Zhou Ziyan didn't need to remind her. Zhao Wanqing also saw hundreds of soldiers holding microcharges and rifles forming an encirclement in front of her. Zhao Wanqing was ambushed inexplicably, and Zhao Wanqing felt unhappy. She didn't expect that there was such a powerful force lurking here. Moreover, it is still a force of the military. Thinking of Ye Feng she saw in the morning, Zhao Wanqing's murderous intention in her heart became more intense. Before, Lin Fan blocked her, so it was difficult for her to take action. She also understood what Lin Fan meant, but it was different now. These soldiers suddenly attacked. Even if she kills them all, it doesn't matter. She understands Lin Fan's philosophy, I won't offend anyone unless they offend me. If someone offends me, I'll eradicate them. Zhao Wanqing almost laughed in anger. She didn't take the initiative to cause trouble, but instead someone wanted to kill her? Facing hundreds of gunshots, Zhao Wanqing looked down at the dozen female soldiers who were kneeling on the ground, gritting their teeth without making a sound, and asked, "How are you doing?" A dozen female warriors looked up at Zhao Wanqing with anger in their eyes and shook their heads. "Mother, we are fine, these people are so abominable. He doesn't deserve to wear this military uniform at all." More than 20 meters away, listening to the angry scoldings here, a dozen men holding guns laughed and said, "We are not worthy of this military uniform." Who said that wearing a military uniform means you must be a soldier, right? Brother, they. Right? Who says that wearing a military uniform means you must be a soldier? Ha 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 ha. A bunch of idiots. I thought we were soldiers. It made me laugh so hard. That's right, I guess these women are all stupid after watching TV series. Who says we are not soldiers anymore? We are soldiers when we wear military uniforms. Come on, sisters, let Brother Bing pamper you well. Grass. You're such a naughty boy. A group of men in military uniforms burst into laughter with wild voices. Zhao Wanqing's beautiful eyes were cold and she wanted to go up and kill these scum. But she never expected that these people were not soldiers, but scum in military uniforms. No wonder they just shot without even saying hello. But the problem is, the equipment on these people is obviously that of the regular army. Where did these people get it? I haven't heard of any troops stationed in the Magic City, even if they are yes, this group of people can't get these equipment. Zhao Wanqing is wary. Although these people in front of her deserve to die, she can't do it easily. Although she herself is not afraid of the guns in the hands of these people, but the female warriors around her, but she is not strong enough to ignore bullets. If she takes action rashly, the result may be that many female warriors around her die unexpectedly, which is not what she wants. But such a stalemate is not an option, especially with the things in front of her. People, the more they look at them, the more disgusting they become. They really deserve to die. Just when Zhao Wanqing was hesitating what to do, a burst of laughter suddenly came from the front, and then the crowd was separated, and a somewhat fat figure came out, followed by a few more a soldier. Seeing this, Zhao Wanqing's pupils suddenly shrank, and the fear in her heart deepened. Zhao Wanqing was not afraid of the few people who came out. In her eyes, these people could be killed in a minute if she wanted to. She was afraid of them. ETA Euro trademark S, the weapon those people carry on their shoulders. Individual anti-tank quiver. Zhao Wanqing's eyes were solemn. Although she had never tried the power of individual anti-tank rockets, she at least knew how terrifying it was. If it exploded in the crowd, the women would definitely suffer heavy casualties. Lose Hekan. SHH. Who am I asking? Isn't a Euro trademark T this the owner of the dark fragrance bar, Zhou Ziyuan? It's really hard to find anything without wearing iron shoes, and it takes no effort at all. Yesterday I went to the dark fragrance bar to catch you, but I missed you. I didn't expect you to bump into me today. In front of the crowd, Luz Hekan whistled, and the expression on his face was indescribably proud. Yesterday, he made a series of misses. There was no one in the Angxiang bar, and Zhenlong Hotel was killed without leaving any trace. After all the hard work, Wang Ku ran to death in a drunken dream, but Lu Jinbei was also fucked. If he hadn't been lucky enough to catch a group of idiots when he came back, he would have been used for experiments by the professor with facial paralysis. Speaking of which, wearing a military uniform is really useful, and the other party will believe whatever he says. It is really thanks to the other party's stupidity, otherwise it would be really difficult to catch anyone alive. But today I suddenly encountered such a big surprise. If my subordinates hadn't reported that a group of women were taking it, he might have missed killing zombies with Tang Dao. In fact, there was no way he could have missed it. Zhao Wanqing was cleaning up like a carpet. Zhao Wanqing, who had no scruples, would definitely give him no chance to resist, and they would all be wiped out. Look. Seeing the ugly Zhou Ziyuan and others in front of him, Luz Hekan couldn't be happier. Good guy, there are hundreds of women. Now he doesn't have to worry about Yang Yiping needing live people for experiments. Hundreds of women are enough for him. It has been a long time, and there are many beautiful women here that make his heart flutter. He has made up his mind to have fun for a while and then reward his brothers. As for resistance, Luz Hekan is not worried. These women in front of him are all cold weapons. There is not even a gun. Is it possible that the boat will capsize? In front of the crowd, Zhou Ziyuan's face was ugly. She did not expect to meet Luz Hekan, a scum here, and the opponent's equipment was so good. Especially when he was carrying those individual anti-tank rocket launchers were undoubtedly a huge deterrent, making her dare not move at all. Wanking, what should we do? Zhao Wanking shook her head gently and whispered, don't worry, it's okay. Zhao Wanking is not stupid. She knew that with so many hot weapons, especially the individual anti-tank rocket launchers, it was impossible to protect Zhou Ziyan and others. She decisively informed Lin Fan. At this time, Zhao Wanking put one hand on in her pocket. Shortcut key 1 is Lin Fan's phone number. Now that the call has been dialed, she is very lucky to have made Lin Fan a shortcut. Otherwise, even if she is fine in a few days, she is afraid that the women under her will be killed or injured. She believes that it won't take long for Lin Fan to arrive. All she needs to do is to delay until Lin Fan arrives. Speaking of which, the hospital is only 9 kilometers away from here. At Lin Fan's speed, it can only take 1 or 2 kilometers at most. Minutes. Seeing the calm look on Zhao Wanking Euro trademark's face, Zhou Ziyan felt a lot more at ease for some reason. But the female warriors next to them were not so calm. Being ridiculed by a group of men, even in the face of so many weapons, these women did not show any fear at all. Their eyes showed no sign of weakness, and they glared viciously at the group of men opposite. He, she is indeed a woman from the dark fragrance bar. I like this expression. Luz Hekin laughed, not annoyed at all. He knew that the most the women in front of him could do was look at him like this. If they didn't want to die, they had to stay there, otherwise he wouldn't mind operating on a few women. There were many women anyway, it doesn't matter how many people die. She sentenced Luz Hekin to death in her heart. Zhao Wanking winked at Zhou Ziyan. In an instant, Zhou Ziyan understood what Zhao Wanking meant. By time. After understanding, Zhou Ziyan glared at Luz Hekin and shouted, Luz Hekin, what do you want? Everyone is struggling in the apocalypse. Eat a Euro trademark S. Okay, if you don't a Euro trademark T, help us, but you secretly attack us. Are you still a human being? Luz Hekin grinned, revealing his teeth that were yellowed by smoke, and the fat on his face trembled. What do you want? What I want is very simple. Put down your weapons and follow us. How simple is this? As for help? Doesn't this count as help? As long as you follow me, I promise that I will not treat you badly and make you feel happy every day. Brothers, don't a Euro trademark T, you think so? Behind Luz Hekin, a group of younger brothers heard their boss speaking in a pornographic tone. They all laughed and responded one after another. Theta Euro trademark S right, Theta Euro trademark S right, I don't a Euro trademark T have any other abilities, but I am very capable in a certain area, and I guarantee that you will enjoy yourself. We are friendly and want to help, so that you can feel the long-lost happiness in the last days. Isn't a Euro trademark T this considered help? I don't a Euro trademark T have any other abilities, but I can hit 10. I'm 20. Looking at the disgusting look of a group of men acting wildly, Zhao Wanking suddenly smiled, and the dark clouds in her eyes were swept away. I think I can make hundreds of them, and I guarantee that you will be in high spirits, happy and forget about Shu, and then you will die in heaven. Want to try it?